Hey guys, welcome to the 20th episode. I'm excited, and what I want to do for this milestone is to do a walkthrough and a recap of what we have accomplished so far. I think that'd be good for newcomers to check in and see what this series is really about. And in order to do that, I think I'm gonna start where I think would be most helpful is in our Discord. So if you join the Discord, server through the link in the description, head on over to the linear series where you will find the first option is a full playlist. This has all of the episodes that we've worked on. Or the way that we have set up the Discord is that each YouTube video has its own dedicated channel. That way we can get some in-depth discussions going on a per episode basis. For instance, people can share screenshots or ask questions. A little bit more robust than the YouTube comment section. So head on over, go ahead and ask questions. I'm happy to help out. So let's do a recap. In episode 0, we did just a simple start the project and talk about what our goals are. So what we are working on is a turn-based game, turn-based battle action game that has a unique explorer mode, and its story is a fantasy narrative. Its story is a fantasy space narrative. So that's how we kick off the project. In the episode 0, we create a new project from scratch. And then in episode 1, we created and set up version control using Diversion, which is a free version control software that I have found a little more user-friendly than GitHub. And I've heard that it's more friendly than some other applications. It's free. It's a plugin you can install and download from the Fab Marketplace. And even for someone like me who has struggled with version control before, I'm finding this very simple and easy. So that's what we cover in this episode. And the purpose of version control is to make it so that if you make any edits and you have to backtrack, you can go and pull up a prior version. You can share a project with others, and it's also an excellent way to back up your project. So we got that out of the way in the first episode, and then in the second episode, we set up data tables. So I met with my mentor who said, let's really prioritize and focus on data tables. And what that's going to do is allow us to build a scalable game so that we can make updates in a modular way without relying so much on making so many updates on a per blueprint or per asset basis. So with data tables, we can really import data through a CSV file to really update in a scalable way the characteristics of whatever we're working with, which could be characters or inventory shops in our case, and many other applications, character stats, for example. You know what? Let me drive a little bit. If I open up our content browser, I've got a folder at the high level under the content folder called data tables, and to date we have battle enemy stats, battle player stats, items, and magic spells, all of which we're using data tables. Episode 3 was for data assets. I'll just pull up a few at a time. So episode 3 is data assets, episode 4 is blueprint interfaces, and episode 5 is progress bar. So as far as data assets go, in our blueprints folder, we have a data assets folder with a battle subfolder. And data assets store data just like data tables, but it's used for a bit more complex purposes. In our use case, what we have now is data assets. As you see on the screen, these are all data assets, the scorpions, which again is used for modular purposes and to make things scalable as we grow. So in a data asset, I'll just pull one up. We have a few variables: the name, enemy mesh, idle, material instance, and enemy stats. And then that was a primary data asset. And then that way in here, when we start dragging and putting things on the in the viewport, like blueprints, we can configure all of the key things that we want. Right now we only have 3, but we're going to expand on this. So I can easily just select from my library what skeletal mesh to use, what idle animation to use, and what material instance to use. So that's what we covered in episode 3. And then in episode 4, we covered blueprint interfaces, another scalable approach, also a performative approach, because it's got blueprint interfaces is a tool for soft references for blueprints to communicate to each other without requiring a cast to function. So in the episode 4, as we move the character blueprint within the sphere of these particular enemies, and as we exit, you can see at the top left, we're just firing off simple print strings as a test. In episode 5, we worked on the progress bar. Oh, I think it's hidden right now. Oops, sorry, I had to pause for a sec. So in episode 5, for the progress bar, when we click play, we set up this blue progress bar, and then what that does is we set it up so that we configured the speed for the particular character it's on. And then the next episode, for the battle action menu, in episode 6, we connected the battle action menu here to display when the time bar reaches full capacity. And then in episode 7, for enumeration, we actually, and you know what? Let me show one thing. In episode 6, is that where we start? In episode 6, I started adding key screenshots for the episode. All of it is included in the video, but I thought in case someone wants to pause or really highlight or make it a bigger screen, that's what this key screenshots are. So throughout this video, there were a few things that I thought would be key screenshots. And then the next few episodes, we have 7 enumeration, which allows us to create a list of items. In our case, we applied a list for our battle action menu, being attack, magic, item, and run. And then we also have additional lists. When we click on magic, we've got fire, thunder, fire, etc. So this is actually a list in the enumeration. Let me show these. So enumerations are blueprints. So in our blueprints folder, we have enumerators. I've got items, action types, and the battle magics. So we have quite a few here. And then we start working on widget switchers, which is when, what I just showed a bit ago, when I click on magic, this is one widget. And the widget switcher allows us to toggle between widgets. And that's what we're doing now. So these are actually separate widgets. When I expand the UI folder, we've got battle UI. So you can see different types of widgets, and the battle magic menu. So we're toggling between these here. And then actually the next episode is episode 9 for magic menu. That's when we start configuring like those fire and blizzard and thunders. In episode 10, we start building the health bar. So right next to the action time bar is the health bar in this green color. And then what we do for a few episodes after that, so we first set up the health bar, and then we assign the player's health through our data table that I talked about earlier. So the player's health is displayed here. So that's not just a random amount, that's configured and editable and scalable through data tables. And then in episode 11, we start building the health data to the HP bar. That way, as this number updates, the health bar is aligned and updating with it. So if it was in half or 125, the health bar would also be in half. In episode 12, we start doing damage. So just for testing purposes, if we start using fire, we can see the health decreases in increments of 10. Or fire, which is like a level 2 fire, starts changing in increments of 20. And likewise for the cure, in increments of 10 and 20. And then when the player reaches death, we get a print string. In the next episode, we imported fab assets. So that's what you see on screen here. Some fab assets that we imported was a Scorpion, what's it called? Character kit by Enhance Studios. And then we also imported this magic spell type of thing here. So fairly soon what we will be doing, that won't just be there in a static position, but it's going to display that animation when we click on a particular magic spell, and each spell will have its own different rules and appearances. In episode 14, we assign data to these assets, to the blueprints that you see. So it's not actually just the scorpions you see there. What you actually see, if we open up the blueprint, it's a child of the blueprint of the it's a child of a parent blueprint enemy character, but all of the data is really accessible through a simple data asset that we created. So that looks a lot different than if we just took the folder as is that we purchased from the Fab Marketplace. It's very different than just dragging out the blueprints, because these are actually children blueprints, and then we assign data assets that we created to get the result of the color, the instance, the skeletal mesh, and the idle animations. In episode 15, we set up, we dive a little bit further into diversion. And what we do is we set up sharing the project to with other users. So we set up a way to share the project. And then what we did was migrated environment assets in episode 16 from a environment artist that I worked with on Fiverr. So I wonder, let me open, I don't know if it's available, yeah, let me pull this up. So I'm gonna actually, let's save. Excuse me. If we open up this level, in episode 16, we have this environment map. So these are assets created by Nico Brizar on Fiverr. What he did was he did the modeling and the texturing of these, and I think it looks awesome. So that's what you'll find in episode 16. And then for the next 3 episodes, I was not on my computer. I was on travel. So what I wanted to do was start making some progress as far as how the game development journey is going. So I shared a pitch deck. So in episode 17, we're working on a pitch deck that is taking place on February 13th. It's a virtual pitch event hosted by Indie Game Business. So tune in to see us when that takes place. So in the pitch deck, it's for sharing. It's available. And then we started in episode 18 with the environment blockout. Now I reached out to someone named Unreal Habitat, who I first learned of through his streaming of world building, and he agreed to assist with the project. And I'm super happy with what he's been working on. So I'm going to pull up a demo, and you can find his workflows and methods and insights into the environment blockout channel. So you can see here that what I'm sharing is that he's giving screenshots as the level progresses. And I'm going to show what it looks like currently. So he started with the environment blockout process. And then since then, which is what I've recorded here in episode 18. And then since then, I'll give a sneak peek. It's looking amazing. A little bit further than just the environment blockouts. You can see we've got our shapes here. But let's click play. And we've got these awesome foliage set up everywhere. You can see the bubbles are breathing life. And then this is being driven by the concept art that I've shared, that Unreal Habitat shared in the channel in the first comment. So I think this is looking so cool, and I love the progress. So that's that's in episode 18. And then in episode 19, I talk more about freelancers and our experience working with them. Thankfully, I've had good experience working with everyone from Fiverr, but I kind of talked about the workflow of how we came to be, from concept art of characters to concept art of the environment, and how we worked with additional artists after that to create 3D models that matches the appearance of the game and what I'm looking for as far as atmosphere and art style, which is a stylized art style. So here's the concept art that we're working on to bring alive in this this progress point. So my next action items in the next few episodes will be to change this UI to be only on when we encounter an enemy, because this is actually the what's it called, turn-based battle game mode that will initiate when we start a battle. So I'm going to be doing that soon. I'm going to be improving our data assets and applying the damage. For instance, right now when we do fire damage, this is early testing, like it applies to us, but we're going to be targeting which enemy character, for instance, which of those scorpions the damage is going to apply to. We're going to continue working on our pitch deck for the event coming up in a couple of weeks. And then we're going to be migrating our hero characters over to the project. So we've got our main character here, Weston, named after my son. And then I have one more character, Dia, available. And then we have one more character as well, Lucas. So these are our main characters that we have so far. I'm hoping too we have some time to do some outreach to create some custom enemy characters, because I think with this environment, I'm getting some cool ideas, I think, to how we can start working on that. So that's a episode 20 milestone recap. I'm very happy with how things are going. 20 episodes in about 30 days, which included some time on travel. So I can't imagine, and I'm super excited for what's to come in the next 20 episodes. I reiterated in the first episode that I'm a hobbyist in Unreal Engine for a few years, but I've had some instances where I have taken breaks for even up to months at a time for various reasons. But I'm feeling very good about how this is going, and we're going to be fully committed moving ahead. So thank you, and stay tuned. Cheers.